Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Brood War Let's Play. Yes, we're playing Brood War in 2020 now. We finished Starcraft, the main game, the first 3 episodes, first 3 campaigns. We're going to jump into the last 3 because it always comes in 3, you see. And yeah, we're going to be dealing with Blizzard's quote-unquote efforts in Brood War. Now, Brood War was actually outsourced to Sapphire, I think, is the name of the corporation that was outsourced to. I don't think they are responsible for hardly anything. I suppose while I prattle on about this sort of thing, I can always look up the authors of Brood Wars. If I look for Starcraft Brood War, and I find the Wikipedia article, that will definitely give me more than enough information here. Yes, Sapphire with 2 Fs. Now, they have their fate on Wikipedia is listed as dissolved, which is certainly reasonable. They were a video game developer based in South Jordan, Utah. And they were founded as Cygnus Multimedia Productions in '93. And I don't actually recognize anybody here who is involved with this, but apparently Blizzard contracted them for some particular reason. Now, I should mention that prior to Brood War, the only thing that they appear to have been responsible for was ports, it looks like. Unless Oddworld Adventures was, yeah. So they were responsible for the PC port, or sorry, Game Boy port of Oddworld, and amongst other things. So they have nothing really to their name, you know what I mean? There's nothing that leads you to believe that they should be at the helm of the development of an expansion pack to what has now gone down in history as the greatest RTS ever to walk the face of the earth. Up until this point, at the very least, we'll say, to qualify it for the future. But certainly by 2020, it's still the best RTS. So the idea that the entirety of the expansion pack, as far as the content is concerned regarding the shall we say, the campaign content, the single-player content, a lot of that was indeed outsourced. Now, presumably, they didn't write the story. We can see the anime initiation ritual that was caused as a result of Kerrigan hatching and Tassadar and Zeratul getting into a love triangle with Aldaris at the end of the second and third campaigns, respectively. But what does get me about the inclusion of another company in this is it's repeating the trend that Blizzard had established with Warcraft 2. And I think Dynamo jokes that Warcraft 2's expansion pack was made by Aztec New Media, where I believe they're responsible for the atrocity that is Insurrection, which is an official licensed add-on or whatever. But I don't actually remember who did the Warcraft 2 expansion, but suffice it to say, they did a pretty terrible job, and they didn't even make any new AI or anything like that. Now, at the very least, Brood War's scripts apparently do have some changes in the AI. That is evident when you play the missions. And I generally remember the missions where when you do get to actually play a macro map in Brood War, I do generally remember them to be higher quality than the maps that we played in StarCraft. But we'll see if that assumption, based on nostalgia and faded memories, holds up and remains accurate. We shall see many things. A great many things will be revealed to us as we play through Brood War. I do figure that, now that I've made the whole announcement or whatever, brought it to your attention if you're not already aware that this was not developed by Blizzard directly, or at least in whole, we'll say. It was at least in part, but presumably in majority, developed by Sapphire. So keep that in mind as we play through this, but I should also mention that there's a bit of a retrospective on the vanilla game. Where does the vanilla game leave us as consumers when we're coming into Brood War? Well, the vanilla game establishes some pretty bad precedents. It teaches us some pretty incorrect, just flat out wrong statements, right? It teaches us the wrong thing about the game. It gives us the wrong impression for a lot of the lore based on the inconsistent cutscenes. So if I were going to pick pain points, I would definitely say that the level design needs to be vastly improved, and the script needs to waste less of the player's time and cringe the player less often. Unfortunately, we don't get either of those, as you're about to see, but I thought it bore repeating. This is where we are at the end of Vanilla, beginning of Brood War, when we're really trying to figure out what the fate of this game is going to be. How is it going to be remembered? The later things always stick with people more, assuming they live to finish the whole thing off. If they actually experienced the Brood War content, the expansion pack content, I imagine that Brood War was played by the vast majority of people. So the vast majority of people who have played the campaign for StarCraft didn't stop at episode 3. They probably finished it all the way through. Given that sort of reality, given that assumption anyway, we can assume that this left whatever kind of taste it left in people's mouths, whether it was sour or whether it was sweet. And as you'll find out, let's just say it's no second coming. Let's take a look at the intro cutscene for Brood War, which I don't have to go into a fucking menu to change. Check it out. My nemesis, Lard.
Charge here! Where is the air support? So, Gerard, I suspect you have a good reason for pulling me away from my duties.
Your vodka can wait, my good Alexei. Come, stand here. You need to see this.
I know all about the Zerg, Gerard. We've all seen the tapes 100.
You've seen nothing. Dissecting a dead Zerg in a lab is one thing. Unleashing them on men is another. You must go into this with both eyes open. Once started, there's no going back. Are you prepared to go all the way with this, Alexei?
Yes. Yes, I am prepared to go all the way, my good Admiral.
Good. Good. I knew I could count on you.
Admiral, the colonist base will be overrun in a matter of minutes. Shall we intervene?
Take us into orbit, Mr. Malmsteen. We've seen enough.
Well, my first thought there is, why did they take so many different dark colors for their cinematography, shall we say? Their choreography involves so many dark colors. That palette could not handle it, man. There's so many errors there. I don't. Maybe it's a little bit less noticeable on a CRT or something, but pretty nuts. Anyway, Blizzard actually has the source files for those. They just won't release them in HD for some reason. So wrap your fucking brain around that one. Anyway, figured I would mention cutscene thematic has some somewhat interesting choreography. A lot of it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like the Zerglings just sitting there waiting for a rocket to smack into them. You know, stuff like that. We did get to see Ahmed blast off into outer space to evade death. That's exactly what happened in the opening cutscene there. Hope you were keeping an eye out for Ahmed. We also saw a guest starring Mike. There were a couple of mics behind the rocket guy. I don't know what the fuck those were. Like, why are there just giant mics fucking sitting there? Like, what purpose does that serve? Is that a reasonable doodad to put down there as decoration? Yeah, he's just this perfectly clean, pearly white mic. Yeah, okay. Just a bunch of skulls. I don't know what the fuck was going on there, man. But that was pretty humorous. Stuff that you got to see when you watch it over and over again, I guess. Just, I don't know why. Like, maybe it's an Easter egg, but it seems so out of place. When you notice it, you don't think, wow, that makes sense. You don't even, really all you start thinking about is why the fuck did they put that there? And I really got to mention, anytime the player is looking at something and thinking, why was this put here? It breaks the immersion, because by definition, immersion means that we're conceptualizing something as if it already exists, or as if it is realistic in some capacity, as if it is reasonable, right? And so you can get immersed in something without it being realistic, but the idea is that as long as things have some sort of consistency within the world, and it doesn't make you feel like you have to ask the question why somebody deliberately put something there, the artifice is not broken and you're constantly immersed, in theory. You know, that's at least one of the ways that the immersion can be broken, is by having to stop and ask yourself why somebody made the decision to do something related to the product. Because when you start to conceptualize it as a product and you stop conceptualizing it as an experience, that's when the immersion gets broken. So that definitely broke my fucking immersion with that cutscene. I do got to mention as well, obviously, like the Goliath ground attack sound effect looped for the Marine gunfires. Like, again, they wanted like a more impactful sound than the regular Marine gunfire sound, but they didn't want to make him a Goliath. Obviously, they wanted to make him a Marine, so he was more relatable or whatever. I just don't understand why they have this obsession with changing up sounds. Like, the Zerglings were making Mutalisk noises because they didn't feel like making more Zergling sounding sounds. Like, it's fine to have new sounds that are sort of built upon the existing ones in that sense. It's fine to have a Zergling sound that we've never heard before in the game. Like, it's not the Zergling unit response, but you've made similar to that Zergling. Like, it feels like a continuation. Like, if the Zergling had 60 unit responses, maybe that would be one of them. That kind of thing. Instead of it only having 4 piss, 4 yes, and whatever else it has, a ready line, death line. So as long as you've got a situation where it sounds like it should fit, then it's fine. But when you're taking shit from the Mutalisk or you're taking shit from the Goliath, it doesn't make any sense. Of course, consistency speaking, there is no Rocket Trooper. I actually thought when I first saw this cutscene that the Rocket Trooper would be like a unit that we train. And now looking back at it, knowing that that's like the UED observing something, maybe that could have been a new UED unit, or it could have just been a standard fare new unit. And maybe it was a cut beta unit concept or something that was supposed to show up and didn't. I've never heard any story that would intimate that, but you know, it's something like that. That could have been interesting to have another infantry unit besides the medic. It would have been shooting a rocket or whatever. I might not necessarily make sense given the rest of the balance, but you know, if you're going to show something like that, you kind of got to do it. I don't know. It could have been like a ghost instead, or it could have been a fucking fire bat. They could have done something other than rockets, and they certainly could have choreographed that better as well. And then we get into the character-driven stuff of it. You know what the character-driven stuff actually made me think of is, you know, obviously Jared is talking about going all the way with whatever plan they've got. It doesn't feel like Jared Dugal and Alexei Stukov are characters that are meant to be leading very organized militaries. Because in the case where it would be super organized, my thought is Alexei Stukov wouldn't be so fucking brash. He wouldn't be like lighting cigars and being drunk or sort of or whatever, and not fully sober anyway, judging by the way that he was, his fucking frazzled appearance, we'll say. And also just like he would have been much more professional, you would think. And then the cutscene, like obviously Gerard in the cutscene, Dugal, he probably would have also been a little bit more like he would have already known that his ally, his commander, his vice admiral was prepared to go all the way. Like he wouldn't have had to ask the question because like he doesn't need to ask that question in the military. You know what I mean? Like unless they're friends beyond it, which it's intimated that they are, and unless they've got some ulterior motive that is not being communicated back to the directorate from whence they came, there's no reason for him to need to reaffirm that. And it doesn't even really tell us anything useful as a human watching it as a player. Like when we're looking at this, we're thinking, Like, okay, maybe there's something subversive happening over here, but not really. Like, that doesn't even send us the right signal at all about Dugall and Stukov's relationship. It's completely unrelated, we'll say. Also, the idea that we open with those characters, but we don't see them again for an entire campaign, or half of a campaign. We see Stukov later in the most fucking brain-dead mission in the entire Protoss campaign, I think. But we you know, it's just, we're already asking a lot of questions, and we've only watched the cutscene, right? As is pretty usual for my fucking rants, but I thought it was important to mention. I thought it was important to go back and look at that, because I really don't get why they decided to take that approach. But like I said, what it made me think of is, since this is not the professionalism, it's not the, shall we say, the decorum that you expect from a well-oiled, organized army that was sent from the Earth, I actually thought it would be funnier and maybe even just more interesting in a more blasé note if Dugall and Stukov were like business magnates or something. They weren't really army commanders. That's what they contract the player viewport character for. And they're not really army commanders as much as they are like business partners. And they're over here like, we're gonna make a fortune, smoking their cigars like, listen here, sonny, we're gonna enslave the Zerg, see? We're gonna fucking enslave the Zerg. We're gonna use them to mine in no area where SCVs won't agree to mine because of the union, see? No unions for Zerg, see? We're gonna fucking do it, see? Like, that might actually be like, that would be like a really weird take on a campaign, but I think that you could pull that off in a serious tone, like, even though it's a rather comedic premise. But that's actually more entertaining in my mind than just some random force of Terrans arriving out of fucking nowhere, which we will get to, but I'll probably save it either for ranting about while I'm busy losing my brain cells in that micro mission that I mentioned, or in the actual Terran campaign whenever we get to that. So given that little rant, that little forward, let's go ahead and get on with it. So just want to make sure that this is indeed a first run through. As you can see, Protoss campaign complete. We start the Protoss campaign. It just starts us. Protoss campaign, the stand. The nefarious Zerg Overmind has been destroyed, and the Protoss homeworld of Aiur now lies in smoking ruin. As the executor of the remaining Protoss forces, you must now attempt to reunite your beleaguered people and save them from the ravenous Zerg who still roam mindlessly across the blackened fields of Aiur. A class, by the way. Escape from Aiur, isolated Protoss base on the planet Aiur.
Greetings, Executor.
Sup, bitch?
Though we all grieve for the loss of mighty Tassadar, we must find the resolve to carry on. He sacrificed himself to destroy the Overmind, but many Zerg still rage across our ruined homeworld. Without the Conclave to lead us, or the protection of our great fleets, it seems we must fend for ourselves.
Eldaris is correct, Executor. As we have both seen, the Zerg will not halt their rampage until every last one of us is dead. I suggest that we retreat to our last functional warp gate and travel to where the Zerg cannot follow us.
With all due respect, Zeratul, the Protoss do not run from their enemies. Aiur is our homeworld. It is here that we shall make our stand.
Just as your Conclave did. They are dead now, Eldaris. Dead because they allowed their pride to blind their reason. Only if we learn from their mistakes can we live to avenge them. Now, Executor, I know of a place where we can find solace. It is Shakuras, the secret homeworld of my people, the Dark Templar.
Your people? We would be seen as tyrants to them. Why would they shelter us?
Have I not pledged myself to your cause? Not all beings are as unforgiving as your lamented Conclave, Eldaris.
You are right, of course. Executor, Zeratul shall find us passage to the Warp Gate. After the gate has been secured, Phoenix and the new Praetor Artanis shall lead our surviving brethren to Shakuras.
Executor, I am Artanis. Though I have only recently been appointed Praetor, you can trust that I will uphold the honor and traditions of the Templar.
We shall see.
Hey boys, mind if we tag along? I figure heading anywhere has got to be better than staying here with the Zerg.
Commander Reno, as ever, your assistance is appreciated.
We would be honored if you joined us.
Already we're seeing a disturbing trend with the opening cutscene being rather dialogue heavy compared to the first. But also the briefing here. The first briefing that we run into is a scant 4+ minutes long of just characters monologuing to each other. Pretty uninspired dialogue. Seemingly bored voice acting. I get maybe they're trying to be depressed or something, but, you know, maybe deploy it in a bit of a different way than that. And more tersely, please. I really don't want to have to be sitting here forever. I know it sounds rather hypocritical because I'm forcing you guys to sit here forever since I'm fucking talking all the time about these goddamn briefings and cutscenes and stuff. But yeah, these are elements of the story, right? These are elements of the game, and I think they deserve to be analyzed. And in this case, very heavily critiqued. Zeratul and Aldera's having their little quabbles about the Conclave kind of brushes past the fact that the Conclave apparently just got fucking destroyed. Honestly, I view this to be about as much of an embarrassing retcon as Metzen doing a fan Q&A saying, yeah, the Cerebrits are all dead. Kerrigan killed them all, when in reference to after Brood War, in the time period between Brood War and Starcraft 2, and why they aren't seeing any Cerebrits. Really, the reason is Warhammer 40,000 developers or IP owners or whatever threatened to sue Blizzard for blatant copyright infringement unless many things, including Cerebrits, were no longer allowed in the area there, which is really weird because Queens are actually much more similar to Tyranid things as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm aware, I should say. Cerebrids seem actually to be one of the more unique aspects of Zerg compared to what the Tyranids offer. So maybe they just spitefully decided Blizzard wasn't allowed to have the one thing that set the Zerg apart from Tyranids. Maybe that was what they decided. It was pretty funny. But anyway, that being said, yeah, that was the main reason why the Cerebrits were removed or were written out. But in this case, the Conclave is just written out. And it's not like this happened on screen, right? This is actually, humorously enough, something I attempted to fix on behalf of the writers. I don't know why I decided to do that, but I decided that would make a fitting sort of climax for my own custom campaign in Consummate many, many years ago, back when I was still working on that and considered it to be highly high quality, which, of course, is no longer the case now, but I figured I would reference that anyway as a bit of trivia. Kind of humorous that I decided that the Judicators should be killed, or the Conclave should be killed, or whatever, in some climactic battle towards the end of that campaign, and that would sort of allow you to understand what the fuck was happening with, like, for one, why Phoenix was nowhere to be seen in the end of the Protoss campaign, but also how we get to this point in the briefing of this mission, where Alderis just reminds you, which is really just expositing to you that the Conclave has been written out of the game. So epic. Anyway, we got to bring Zeratul to the warp gate, and he must survive. So it's a micro mission, opening up in the worst way possible. Some motherfucker. So Blizzard became a little obsessed. Really, it's Sapphire, I think. They did become rather obsessive about spawning shit in and having all these weird gimmicks. Obviously, Nidus canals don't work this way at all. The AI doesn't know how to use Nidus canals. So this is entirely triggered. It's done so in a very poorly way. As I mentioned at some point in the other playthrough, I'm pretty sure. It's not something that you can even hear normally. Like, you can't even actually hear it under normal circumstances. That Overlord decided not to flee, I guess. But, yeah, it's not even something that you can hear when you're nearby, so...
There's no time to waste. We must join our brethren in battle.
They also start spawning in borrowed Zerglings near your units, near your rescuable units, in order to give you them. because they didn't want to write a functionality. I mean, they added new triggers to Brood War on several occasions, but for whatever reason, they decided it was not reasonable to write a functionality in for rescuing units in the first place. I'm not sure why they thought that was necessary, or was not necessary, I guess, but... They also just make random, excruciatingly frequent use of the sound effect trigger. And this is something that I actually took cues from when it comes to Blizzard, unfortunately. I decided that that made sense to copy in some way or another. What's up, bitch? There are AI that run on this map, but they do very little other than, I think they get some upgrades or something over time. They don't mass up and attack. You're supposed to have some sort of, like, you're trying to get to a warp gate, which isn't even revealed to you on the map, right? You're just following a fucking linear corridor, which is pretty uninspired and boring as far as things go. I don't know what... Why did they play a fucking comm beep sound for that one?
It will be done. This is all that remains of our forces in this province. We have found the location of the warp gate, but there is a sizable Zerg force blocking the way.
You're a sizable Zerg force. So there you go. Now they reveal it sort of arbitrarily. Very easy mission. Decidedly not very difficult at all to deal with in any capacity. Don't even need to, like, unlike the mission where they introduced you to Psystorm, if you remember that cancerous pseudo-micro mission, Battle of, or not fucking Battle of Braxis. It's gonna haunt me until I get to it. The search for Tassadar, or whatever, the hunt for Tassadar. Yeah, that one was one of those missions where it was very clear that they wanted you to use Psystorm. So they would just hit you with a bunch of shit. And yes, they are spawning air units out of caves, as well as some ground units. More spawning triggers. Classic. So yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, there's nothing here. You don't even need to cast Psystorm. In fact, I think it's possible to actually desync this and cause it to crash or something if you just keep your units around and keep the yellow things around.
And evacuate the colonized survivors before the Zerg return.
I'm not going to bother wasting my time, but there is some weird crash that happens. Or no, I think it was like a crash that could happen if the shuttles never go somewhere. I don't know why, though.
Don't worry about getting your people through the gate, Executor. Phoenix and I will hang back and protect our flank until everyone is through.
They didn't bother accounting for whether or not the... Oh yeah, they just get victory. They didn't bother accounting for whether or not the mute unit trigger was supposed to be active and play a lower volume sound, or tie the sound playing to a behavior, which would have been a more robust solution that wouldn't have required trigger gimmicks. So you just get that blasting Rainer's dialogue out of the fucking water. Just another example of that. So, yeah, I mean, talk about the briefing, just introducing characters, or reintroducing characters in some cases, but introducing Artanis with one fucking line of dialogue, and which I meant to mention earlier, but I got too distracted with a bunch of other shit that I wanted to complain about. You talk about that, and then in the actual mission, Rainer and Phoenix just pop out of fucking nowhere, apropos of nothing. There's no choreography, there's no understanding of map flow or map state where you've killed off some structures, so that allows for the shuttles to even get in here. Like, there's Scourge literally flying around everywhere in the entirety of that mission, making tons of noise, which is obviously not standard behavior, and obviously was meant to be some Designer Dave epic cinematic experience instead of it actually being an RTS experience. I mean, we knew that just based on the fact that it was a micro mission. Sure, it had more man hours put into it. It had more effort in terms of number of man hours thrown at it, number of interns devoured by that mission. But that does not make it actually good. It doesn't make it a mission that is reasonable to play. It's not even a mission. Like, there's not even any content. You're just moving across a map. You don't even have to press any like, you don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to micro in the micro map. You don't even have to do anything other than attack move. I did stuff just so that I wouldn't fall asleep, right? And again, there's nothing accounting for what previously happened. Billions of Scourge spinning through the map, just like actually that is consistent with our experience in the final mission of vanilla. But then shuttles show up and unload heroes. Why the fuck were they allowed to do that? Like, there's no reason for them to be allowed to do that. There's so many Scourge coming out of nowhere. It's just crazy. So that's just like one of the very obvious cases. And then a bunch of Zerglings just unburrow right next to us in that base. Not a behavior they've been able to do. Not a behavior that they can do later. It's not like there's some movement, all burrowed or deep burrow thing where you burrow some units and they unburrow at another location. There's nothing like that in the game as a base mechanic. So why the fuck does that happen? Because Blizzard was feeling creative, or more likely, Sapphire decided to make a fucking anime campaign. Dunes of Shakuras. Protoss base camp on the planet Shakuras.
Entaro Tassadar, Executor. The survivors from Aiur have made it safely through the gate. Yet, amidst the chaos of our retreat, we lost contact with Phoenix and Raynor. I fear that they may have been overrun by the Zerg.
Fear not, Artanis. Phoenix is as stalwart a warrior as I have ever known. And the Terran Raynor has proven himself to be highly resourceful in the past. I, for one, believe that they made it here safely. But while we wait for word from them, we must reconnoiter the surrounding area and find a suitable location for a more permanent settlement. Once we're situated, we can begin to search for the Dark Templar.
Well, a much more terse briefing, which I'm welcoming. But as you're going to see, things get really absurd really quickly. It's just like, it's gotten slapstick with how inconsistent this campaign is, and we're not even a second full mission in yet. So stay tuned. But I should mention that Zeratul has some recapping, which kind of feels like it borders on exposition. It's actually the right thing to do, but they could have written it better. When you're dealing with character introductions or reintroductions, when you're making a sequel to something that has already been experienced, you've got to account for the possibility that somebody played the first game or the first set of campaigns or whatever, and then took some time off, perhaps while you were developing and releasing the second, like the sequel, whatever the follow-up is, and then played the follow-up, and is now re-experiencing it without necessarily going back and replaying the original to freshen up. And so it's helpful and seen as like, I guess, a common courtesy to just throw in some quick re-characterization. It's not really characterizing it for the first time, because that characterization has already happened in the previous installment of the story. But it's a nice way to hint at what that character is all about and some traits, and here's some sort of establishing the relationships of one character to another. We're not doing anything for the first time. It's not establishment, it's not characterization, it's in both of those cases. Re-characterization, re-establishment. It's doing a lot of that stuff. Now, I'm sure there's another re-word you could think of. I'm sure there's at least one more to make it 3, but at this point, I think it's actually the right thing to do. It's kind of on the nose in this case, and certainly could have been done in a better way. But given the insanely terrible script that we dealt with in vanilla, especially in the end stages of that particular production, I guess we can take the victories that we can take. And that's all I'll say about that. But I just wanted to mention that because I think it's an important bit of narrative storytelling. Not that most people really ever have to worry about that, because you're lucky if you ever release one thing as an average developer, I guess, let alone releasing a sequel to that. Like, the odds of you releasing more than one project are kind of slim, but even if you do release more than one project, the odds of one of the projects that you release being a sequel to another project you've previously released are kind of slim in that sense. But if you ever find yourself in that position, or if you just want to figure out whether or not your favorite pet project or game or series or movie series or whatever is you know, holding up to that kind of standard, and there's another tool in your toolbox to make that determination. Establish a base and find the Dark Templar. Wow! So here we are. No fucking terrain direction besides the fact that we can only go one direction. And we got 4 zealots and 4 probes. Where the hell are all the rest of the units that we poured through? I didn't even see any probes evacuate. Why are we over here?
There are Zerg on Shakuras.
They're burrowing in out of nowhere.
Control of the warp gate on Aiur.
They are placing themselves there just for the sake of it. Our first look at a mineral field in Brood War that we can actually mine from. Slightly more reasonable than what it was before. I think they spawn in some Hydralisks pretty soon. And I'll go ahead and scout out some stuff while I wait for my Nexus to finish. Because, yes, you have to wait for your Nexus to finish in this game. Ha! 3. Hi. Whoa, did you see that guy do a little jig? I guess I'll drop the pylon as well.
I long for combat.
I remember I was witnessing a fan campaign that did the same thing here, and people had mentioned that they just leave. They just stop playing when this happens. There's literally nothing for them to do. Well, they're thinning out my supply at least. This is also supposed to be epic, but, you know.
Glad I am to see that you've returned home after these many decades. But the strange guests that have followed you here seem ill-tempered.
Well met, my brother. Indeed, these creatures known as the Zerg have no regard for the sanctity of life. Once we have secured this area, I shall tell you everything I know about them in council.
I'm sure the matriarch will be eager to hear your tale as well.
Executor, we have received a transmission from Raynor and Phoenix. They are still alive and are fighting to retake the warp gate on Aiur. We must secure the gate on this side without delay.
I'm waiting.
The Zerg base. Well, I hate to break it to you, but there's 2 players in this map, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that, I guess, but I'm pretty sure there's at least, there's these guys that don't even have an AI. They're just a pre-placed player that stop us from taking an expansion. Not that we need it in this map, but, you know.
So be it.
Was there any reason why that needed to be paused, by the way? I don't think there was. I don't think we ever needed to pause the game ever for anybody, for any reason. That's my take. Certainly not to exposit us dialogue, only then to give us a bigger paragraph of dialogue to read immediately following that from Artanis, who gives us our next objective. Like, the pacing is completely off on top of everything else.
There is no sign of Phoenix or Raynor. They must still be on Aiur.
They could have just left. I mean, we clearly... we clearly didn't give many fucks about staying where we were, considering we seemingly fucking materialized on the other side of the map anyways. Doesn't seem that far-fetched for me. But whatever. Oh, we've cleared away some of the pre-placed junk, but as you might imagine, there's a bunch more. Yeah. Can't believe how much pre-placed shit is in these campaigns. There's some borrowed units over here, but it's alright. Hi. Some mild micro there. Oh. Can tell I was paying attention. We should be able to kill this one without losing anybody. Oh, especially if we, well, we can just send a Dragoon down there at some point and it'll be fine. If we can ever get enough gas to actually get a Dragoon, that is. Yeah, I've got not enough patience either. See if we can sneak down here and see what else is going on. Hey, that's rude. I'm just scouting, dude. Scouting with these guys that can utterly destroy everything you own. Still no north-facing ramps, so don't get your hopes up, but... Oh, hi. That's unfortunate. I wonder if it would even be useful to position myself over here, besides for taking out some units with Dragoons. I can't immediately think of any reason why I would want to do that. I'm gonna save up a little bit here for range. Honestly, I might just be able to walk up there and fucking kill the sunken PBH. Yeah. So we've done enough damage with them. That's pretty much all they're there for. Oh yeah, remember when I said I was saving up? Caw! Caw! Nerd. That is a high priority target, I guess. See if I can kill this now without them sending a man at me. I'm not sure if they use guard all in these early scripts. Probably not. Jesus Christ. COD to death. I'm working on it, man. I wonder if you can even get high tier upgrades in this. I don't remember. Oh, looks like you can. Cool. Well, we should be able to win with just +1 anyway. Destroyed. I even cleared this out thinking I might need to actually take it, but look at all those inaccessible mineral fields, by the way. I don't about going that way, man. Not quite what I asked you to do. I understand you only have fucking 2 feet to work with, but... I guess I'll grab leg enhancements instead. Quicker upgrade and definitely more, be more impactful in a shorter amount of time. Easy game, TBH. Wow, they really built nothing. Come on. I know the Queen's Nest is fat, but, you know. Zerglings here. Only a couple more Sunkens to go. Head first into death. Ah, cool. They finally killed the Queen's Nest. Hi. I don't even know where they're going. It's not like they... Yeah, okay, they were just... For some reason, they thought that that region was a reasonable retreat point. Too bad I don't get Corsairs until the next map. But there you go, DF. I killed them all for you. Hope you're happy. Oh, never mind. There's still a couple left. Hi. Oh yeah, I wanted to see if they... Do they make us kill everything? Yeah, it looks like it.
My crew and I will remain here on Aiur and shut the gate down on this side. It's the only way to make sure that the Zerg won't send more reinforcements to Shakuras.
You will be hopelessly outnumbered. And once the gate is shut down, there will be no one to save you should you be overrun.
Yeah, well, I'm a man of action. What can I say?
I shall remain with Raider as well, Executor. My duty is to Aiur after all.
Farewell then, brave warriors. We will send through all the troops we can spare.
Thanks. You kids just remember to play nice from now on, okay? Wish us luck.
I wonder why they just felt the need to pause the game for that. I guess they couldn't be fucked to create like an image overlay or something instead of actually creating the unit for that quote-unquote special effect. Brood War has a ton of trigger special effects that are just like only there because they didn't give a fuck about actually adding functionality to the engine. At least not the right kind of functionality, we'll say. Oh man. Oh yeah, another nothing mission. I don't know why we need to be tutorialized how to fight Zerg after the first one, but you could chalk it up to being a refresher. I would not want any filler maps, obviously, but the first 2 maps have been pretty throwaway at this point, so... Ay, ay, ay. You know what time it is. It's editor review time. Alright, so this is our starting base, but this is our starting location, and you'll notice... Nice resource area there. Oh, wowee! Holy blizzard. Man. Oh, goodness gracious. If this wasn't so... hold on. Maybe if I zoom out enough, I can make that the thumbnail. Jesus Christ. What a disaster. Yeah, well, there's really not much to say about this map, so I will be brief. Obviously, the map is way too small to have any actual gameplay in it. The AI is way too inactive to have any actual gameplay in it. Your Dark Templar are useful for picking off these pre-placed nonsense shit, but giving the player a tool that they then have to use to chip away at a pre-placed block of shit is not really giving the player a tool at all. Let's be real here. Also, just to let you guys know, yes, Zerg here! Wow! I did not know that, man. Holy shit. Wow! Zerg here is the fucking location name. Holy fuck. I was gonna say, like, check out my Zerg here. I don't know what Lings 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 are. Maybe those are, that must be the Hydralisks. I don't know why they're called Lings. And with an apostrophe and everything. DT spawn 2 over a fucking crow, by the way. So that's psychotic. Zerg here. Who would have guessed? I can't believe it. Zerg here, by the way. Wow. Truly impressive. Oh, so yeah, they just spawned that shit in there. It's just so much of this stuff is done through the conceit of trying to have an epic experience. Nice pre-placed Templar, by the way. So much of it has seemingly nothing to do with trying to actually facilitate a game, an RTS experience. Instead, you just get, you know, pre-placed shit and triggered events now, which is new. Pre-placed shit not being new at all. But triggered events and gimmick stuff like spawning in units and Nidus canals like we saw in the previous mission. All that stuff is new to Brood War. It's pretty much the defining feature of Brood War. So what you're seeing, in essence, is that they added to the gimmicks rather than facilitate reasonable mechanics and reasonable engine things that allow them to make reasonable AI and reasonable enemies. Not a whole lot of reasonability here. And yes, nice mineral fields. Somebody got real lazy over here too. You always tell that they don't give a fuck about the AI bases. They almost never have like modified versions of the AI bases where they do the same weird wonky shit where they reduce the mineral counts and stuff. It's like that takes like less than a minute to do for multiple mineral fields, unless you're really slow with a keyboard or something. Even then, at best, to do it for all bases on one of these maps that only have like 5 bases, you're talking under a half an hour's worth of work, just quickly doing some basic data entry. Now, I don't know how drunk the employees of Sapphire/Blizzard were at this point, but come on, man, you can do it. I believe in you. Nice tiling. Well, I guess I don't believe in them after all. All right, on to mission 3. Legacy of the Xel'Naga, main Protoss settlement at New Antioch, Shakuras.
I am Raszagal, matriarch of the Dark Templar, and I welcome you and your companions to our world. Zeratul has informed me of the fall of Aiur, and I am deeply grieved. I am one of the few Dark Templar old enough to remember our ancestral home with clarity. Yet no matter how tragic the circumstances, it is clear that fortune has reunited our people. We Dark Templar will never forget our banishment from Aiur, nor the Conclave's sins against us. But you and your companions are no longer of the Conclave. The example set by your fallen hero, Tassadar, has shown you that when the light and dark sides of our energies are united, our power is undeniable.
But Matriarch, the Zerg who have followed us here are unlike any enemy the Protoss have ever known.
You speak the truth, Judicator. And yet, there lies a dormant power here that can help us to scour the Zerg from Shakuras forever. Long ago, we Dark Templar were a nomadic people. But when we found a remarkable monument upon this world, we decided to remain here to study it. We discovered that the enormous structure is actually an ancient Xel'Naga temple. Ancient! To the race that sired us all. The temple is situated above a nexus of powerful cosmic energies. If we were to access those energies...
Then we should strike now while the Zerg still muster their forces.
Alas, we cannot. In order to properly channel the energies of the temple, we will need the twin crystals, Uraj and Talis, that legends say were separated many ages ago. The Uraj is laced with pure Templar energies, while the Callus is comprised of dark Templar energy. Only by using these two crystals in unison can we hope to channel the potent energies of the Temple.
Then it is clear that we must retrieve these crystals, wherever they may be.
Agreed. But first, we must deal with the Zerg and their two Cerebrates who have already taken up station around the temple itself. To arms, my children. Scour the temple grounds of this foul infestation.
Blizzard has an uncanny habit of making every female fucking character in any of their games just so intolerable, and I don't know if it's unconscious bias on my behalf, or if it's actually Blizzard like doing some sort of long con thing where they're trying to radicalize more MRAs or whatever. But as somebody who is definitely not an incel, I should mention that this has just been a fucking miserable experience listening to her drone on. I mean, they oversold the idea that Dark Templar are meant to be emotionless. I fucking fall asleep in anger when she talks. Not only that, but she's exposition info dumping us about a bunch of shit that at the end of the day doesn't even really matter, because it's just a MacGuffin. The temple is a MacGuffin. The fucking crystals are MacGuffins. The whole thing is just a shit show from start to finish. Nobody really gives that much of a fuck about all of these artifacts. If you're gonna say that we need to restore power to the temple, you should probably save that exposition for after we get to the temple. Maybe you don't know that you have to restore power to the temple, or maybe you have an inclination that might be the case, but you were interrupted by the presence of fucking Zerg here, according to your location name from the previous mission, and that was before you could really figure out what was going on. Maybe give the player a little bit of a hint that might happen, but for now, you've got to go back there. That would have led... For one, you would have been able to make this briefing a lot shorter and more concise. For another, you would have established some sort of stakes, some sort of thing like, okay, yeah, we got to go back there and finish our research, right? So there's a more immediate reason to go kill those Cerebrates beyond the fact that they are just Cerebrates. I don't understand why they feel the need to force you to do X, Y, Z, all this shit. But first, they got to tell you about every single thing you're going to do in the next few campaign missions. And then after that, they just change shit anyway because filler. Now, this mission is filler, because we end up doing the same exact thing in terms of like attacking around the temple area in another map, in the final map of this campaign. So what the fuck is the point of doing it now? You know, I just don't get how we're killing Zerg, and then we go kill Zerg again in the same area, in what is meant to be the same region, around the same fucking structure, in like later on in the campaign. Why? So that's filler. And then fucking on top of it all, you've just got like vague allusions to what might happen if we access the energies of the Xel'Naga temple that happens to be ancient, by the way. So Metzen's already got his buzzwords out, and Raszagal discovers Prozac. Destroy the Zerg Cerebrates. Oh, thanks for continuing the briefing in here. As you know.
My brethren will make short work of any Cerebrate.
Nice pre-placed Citadel of Adun, by the way. You know, for my Templar archives.
Our sensors show that the two Cerebrates are surrounded by spore colonies. We will deploy our Corsairs to compensate for their defenses.
Nice center view. So give you a little demonstration of what Corsairs do. So, there you go. Now you know what Disruption Web does. That's admittedly a more reasonable tutorialization than some of the other shit where they just hand you a button with no idea of what it does and tell you to go nuts. But at the same time, I must say...
Ready for battle. Excellent.
Hi.
Make use of me. Construct additional pylons.
Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. It's gonna be a while before the creep proceeds there anyway.
Waiting instructions. I'm waiting.
May I be of service? Ready for battle.
Still no tooltip though on the disruption web is what I was going to say there. Still doesn't tell you anything about it. Now, disruption web is a very expensive ability. Also, it bears noting, I guess, that you don't actually get to use the trigger action that they used for casting disruption web to issue any order to any unit. Which is what you might think is happening there. They made a hard code for casting recall and disruption web. That was their idea of facilitating different aspects of the engine. Instead of it working for any ability and any unit, they made it so that you have a command that you run specifically so that Corsairs will cast disruption web at the target where the script is run. That is their idea of an engine feature. Caw. You know, I should have made an exception to the no modding thing for the sake of
I thought you'd in my way. I stand ready.
replacing the caw with just me yelling or me cawing. All those sound effects.
Oh, at last.
Oh yeah, I should hotkey that. Actually not sure why hotkey became a verb for that process of adding a unit to a control group. I've always been a little puzzled by that. Not as puzzled as I am about Blizzard's fucking idea of a base layout, though. What a piece of shit. Hey, maybe Desler got his Nugdros idea by listening to the probe unit responses. It kind of sounds like they're saying Nugdros. See? Can't wait for his next campaign where he deploys his new character, Etukan.
I stand ready.
I was also having a conversation with... Wait. Oh. See a nerd. Oh, I kept 3 alive. Oh, never mind. Wait, did you guys serious? What the fuck? Didn't I attack move or something? Rewind the video and tell me if I attacked him. Fucking idiots. What a bunch of pranksters. No. It's too bad that the AI doesn't even bother trying to focus your workers. Alright. I guess we'll be using a lot of Archons in this particular mission, since I don't appear to have money for anything else. The El Clasico. Getting to the point where we don't really have longevity from the resources over here to justify too many more probes, I think. Don't worry, I'm sure I'll have enough minerals soon. Wait, why is Aldaris our fucking advisor anyway? Get him out of here. As you can see, Phoenix is once again our advisor. Even though he's not even fucking here. I mean, he's our advisor portrait, but we still have Aldaris talking to us. I'm not sure why. Like, it seems so weird to go that particular route. But, you know. We don't even get to keep the shuttles either. I mean, they could have just pre-placed another pylon for us or something if they were worried about the supply cost, but, you know. Assa de Templari U, actually. Oh, oh, oh. Destroyed. I think I should be at max saturation with just 3. Not if they fucking take that path, you idiots. Amazing. Some truly next level fucking game design. Like, some things about StarCraft just feel dated in the wrong way, if that makes any sense. Hey, I need those probes.
May I be of service? I heed thy call. May I be of service? Ready for battle. Let us attack.
Call. If you know what I mean. Fuck. I'm sure this won't lead to tragedy in the future. I'm way ahead of you, man. In fact, you don't even know how far ahead of you I am. Oh, I already have shuttle speed, so I didn't even need to get that. Alright, with our fast +2 weapons, I think we're set here. Should be able to just dump our load on them and watch them suffer and die slowly to herpes. And yeah, we're just gonna need a small fleet of shuttles, pretty much. I mean, technically we could go through without needing much in the way of actual units, but just another one of those island maps. Kind of find it weird that they went for oh, holy shit. I'm so proud of him. Oh, I don't even have a Dragoon range yet. Should probably grab that. But yeah, I do kind of find it strange that they don't bother giving you any break from playing Protoss. It's just vanilla Protoss into expansion Protoss. Definitely seems a little odd. Hi. Nice upgrades. I can see you're playing the game. Attack add 4 Hydra, by the way. Wish I could content add 4 Hydra, to be honest. I'll attack add 4 Pylon. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and quickly clear a landing path. I'm sure whatever is going on down there, everything is fine.
I stand ready.
Epic. Oh, we've got an entire double control group of men over here, so this should be easy enough. Oh yeah, I never got a Citadel for leg speed. Not that it would have mattered that much, but... As you can see, I have a million resources, because you don't need to spend your money in this game. I still have one measly Dark Templar somewhere. As long as he's in the area when that guy dies, everything's good. Perfect. Don't worry, they're having a group party down there.
I'm glad to see that you all are as violent as ever.
Kerrigan, what mockery is this?
Relax, warriors. Despite what you may think, I haven't come here to fight you.
This is laughable. Do you truly expect us to believe that your intentions here are honorable? That these Zerg here are not under your sway?
Look, the Cerebrates you've killed were my enemies as well. If you let me explain, I'm sure you'll understand that—
You are the enemy of all who live, Kerrigan. What makes you think we would have anything to do with you?
Because, Zeratul, I bring news of an event that threatens us all. If you'd be so good as to escort me back to your citadel, I'll tell you everything I know.
Very well, Kerrigan. We shall hear what you have to say. But be warned, we will not suffer your treachery here.
Just more anime. Why is Zeratul referring to her as the enemy of all who live? How the fuck does that have anything to do with what's going on? How is that even an accurate label? Like, I don't even know where she got Queen of Blades from. That's anime enough. But deadpan delivering a line. I mean, I know he's emotionless. That's his lore. All Dark Templar are emotionless, deadpan men. But why would you deploy it that way? Why would you deadpan say enemy of all who live? Like, that is hilarious. That doesn't even make any sense. Needless to say, the units just bumbling into each other at the end there was fucking embarrassing and map crap level, so glad to see that. I reached back in time to deploy that mechanism. Always nice to see that. Not so nice to see the editor review to this fucking disaster, though. Because, yeah, I mean, this is a disaster. In a world where they start out with Hive Tech, Ultralisks, Greater Spires, fucking the whole 9 yards, a million pre-placed units, and you start out with this, and then you get some units spawned in to deal with that. I mean, this was a map that was definitely made in a couple minutes, I think. There's really nothing that is even going on here. Like, do I even need to stay on the subject? Do I even need to say anything about this? Like, this is just hilariously unfortunate. Also, nice. Love it. What? Dude, he doesn't even have any resources assigned to this fucking base. Holy shit. Oh man. Yeah, I don't think you could even say anything about that. That's just hilarious. Let's get on with this before I have an aneurysm. The quest for you. Protoss fleet orbiting the planet Braxis.
Now then, Kerrigan. Perhaps you had best explain yourself. What is this news you've come to give?
There is a new overmind growing on Char.
What? Impossible. Why should we believe anything you have to say?
Because, Zeratul, I'm no longer the mindless murderess whom you fought on Char. The overmind is dead. Whatever warped control it once had over me is gone. I know that this is a lot to take in all at once, but you've got to believe me. There's more at
She
stake here than
lies. She is infested to the core. I, for one, will not listen to any of this.
Silence, Judicator. Continue, Kerrigan.
Apparently, many of the renegade cerebrates, commanded by Dagoth, have merged into a new overmind. Fortunately, the creature is still in its infant stages. It can't control the swarm yet, but Dagoth and the others still have control over most of the broods. The 2 cerebrates you killed here were part of Dagoth's forces. Look, I don't need to tell you all what might happen if that thing reaches maturity. I can guarantee you that should it awaken, it'll take full control of me, just like it did before. I don't want that to happen, and I'm pretty sure you don't want it to happen either.
Even if what you say is true, our priority is to save this world, not assault a new overmind. We must find the crystals Uraj and Kalis before we are all vanquished.
Then I'll help you with your search. If you can defeat the renegade Zerg gathered here, it'll weaken the efforts of Dagoth and his ilk.
My children, you must put aside your fears and misgivings to accomplish what must be done. For the time being, Kerrigan will assist you in your endeavors. Though she has been your enemy, it is enough that we share the same agenda now. Allow her time enough to prove herself to you, and you may find her to be a valued ally. For now, you must focus on the task at hand. Search for the Uraj on the planet Braxis, and let nothing stop you from recovering it.
We will do what you ask, Matriarch. But you cannot expect us to forgive Kerrigan's crimes against our race. Executor, prepare our forces. We shall debark for the planet Braxis before the next moonrise.
Were Praetors actually in a position to give the Executor orders? I don't recall that being the case. At least that was definitely not the dynamic for Phoenix and the player character. By the way, Artanis is supposed to be the player character from the vanilla campaign. That's not Brood War lore, that's StarCraft 2 lore. That's embarrassing. Because obviously he would not get fucking demoted to Praetor. So fucking stupid. Oh boy, well, you know what they say. This is just slapstick. I guess the hand wave explanation for why the Matriarch is so quick to say, hey everybody, side with Kerrigan is because Kerrigan is mind controlling her or influencing her at this stage and getting to the point where she is mind controlled / infested or whatever. Pretty goofy though. Pretty nonsensical, man. I just can't fathom a reality where this is something that actually happens. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why would you just invite Kerrigan back in? Okay, take her at face value. Maybe she's telling the truth. Vet the claims. You're not under some kind of psychotic doomsday clock. Yeah, the new Overmind is a threat, but it's all the way on fucking Char. Has no way to immediately teleport to Shakuras or Aiur for that matter, given the vast distances that were crossed based on the old Vermind's fucking teleportation. New Vermind really shouldn't have the capacity to do that in theory. So I don't know why you would immediately feel threatened there when you could just focus on rebuilding and strengthening to that point and securing your ground forces and securing your planet and all that other junk. I mean, you already have a quest. No real need to go and smack that thing. So that shouldn't even be on your radar. I mean, maybe in the distant future, but not immediately. Doesn't make any sense. Secure closer to home, then worry about shit that's farther away. I mean, we don't really know where Char is relative to Shakuras, but we can extrapolate that it's probably pretty far away. Generally, stars are pretty far away from each other. Planets are pretty far away from each other. So I myself would not be too worried about that. I mean, I would be worried about it, but that's a distant concern. That's like worrying about a potential alien invasion if we ever discover an alien force, instead of worrying about global warming or something. You know what I mean? Like, I think your priorities are a little out of whack. So then you vet her claims and you get some time, you figure out what's going on. You immediately raise an eyebrow that the Matriarch is acting I mean, I assume that would be out of character for her to be that stupid. So then you just say, hey, this doesn't make any sense. What's going on here? Maybe I'll use some of my telekinetic power to figure out, they've been having mind sex this whole time. All right, Kerrigan, you're out of here. We're killing you now. Bye. That would be a more appropriate end to this, but unfortunately, that is not the end that we're going to get. Instead, Aldaris just gets angry that he got told off by his mommy, his new mommy, his foster care mommy, and he goes on a rampage. Also, Kerrigan's voice acting is just fucking utterly embarrassing in this particular briefing. You've got to believe me. What is she, the brain-dead lobotomized one now, too? She's the one that has no emotions? Insanity, man. Also, the objectives spoil us the entire outcome of this briefing, which really the objectives shouldn't have to necessarily spoil things. Like, I shouldn't be saying that a big plot twist happened in a briefing. That doesn't really make sense. But surely wait to say this until after we've figured out what the fuck Kerrigan's up to. Instead of just telling us, before we even watch the briefing, that Kerrigan is on our side now. Bring Kerrigan to the Uraj crystal. Kerrigan must survive. No, I really don't think she has to, but you know. Hi. Gotta give player upgrades from the beginning of the game again. I lost a bunch of probes.
We didn't. Long ago, this world was a Protoss colony called Kirador. When the strife between our tribes escalated, this planet and the Uraj crystal were abandoned. These Terrans had come here only recently.
And yes, they do give us scarab damage and capacity, I think. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yes. I'm listening. What is it now? What is it now?
Don't worry, they don't have detection.
Executor, we have a problem. Our warp matrix was
Tell me about it.
in transit. Because of the extensive damage, we will be unable to warp in stargates to this location.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Destroyed.
What is it now? My way. All right.
I have needed.
I'm listening.
I have needed. Initiated.
I was kind of hoping that that would damage one of the other guys too, but you know. Could you be any less useful, Kerrigan? Jesus Christ. Man, I've really outdone myself with this particular section. They don't even give her any upgrades, so she can't even one-shot Ahmed's. Should have given her a fucking attack speed upgrade at this point. Jesus.
Yes. All right. On my way. Yes.
Notice how their structures have not lit up at all. There we go. Now they're building stuff. That was very rude of you, Ahmed. That man may have had a family one day, if he could figure out what hole to put it in. Holy Ahmed. It's alright, I'm sure we'll live. I mean, eventually I'll just get enough energy for cloaking again, like now, and just kill them again, all once again. I think Red's your only enemy, actually. He just starts out with 3 bases. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yes. All right. A bold move. My way. Right. Yes.
I'm out of here, nerds. Oh, hi. What the fuck are they doing, man? Holy moly. Clearly something has broken. It might be me. I mean, I did suicide a bunch of Reavers. It's actually really hard for me to see the particle of the marine weapon hit on the ice tile set. Or maybe it was just the angle or something. I don't know. Something really fucked with my readability, though. I think maybe it was also that I couldn't hear it because of the unit trigger sounds. So it's like a lot of different things went wrong for that to be so devastating. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Even though you just told me. I have some memory issues, okay? Well, they probably have this fully repaired by now. Oh, surprisingly not. They really like Ahmed's, dude. This is my kind of AI right here. Except they're pre-placed and don't really do anything. Hi. So much less satisfying when they die with the default explosion sound instead of their ear-piercing sound. As I'm sure my audience will agree. Aw, man. Dude, why do I suck so bad? It's because I grew up playing these? Might be. No, you don't get to keep this alive, man. Alright, now we can go ahead and drop us a Citadel of Adun. Rude? What the fuck? I guess I ought to actually build some dragoons or something. Hey, that's rude. I'm only attacking your base infrastructure, dude. No need for such rude behavior. Sup, bitch? Wait, do I even need Dragoon range? Oh. Oh yeah, I kind of glossed over the fact that our tech tree is just completely on lockdown for no reason. But it is. Oh, they didn't even bother repairing this stuff. Secret Ahmed.
What is it now?
I don't know, Kerrigan? Why are you here? Go away. Die as you were meant to. Fucking executed, to be honest. Alright, I think I can get Dark Templar in this mission. Yeah, I can. Well, considering the fact that they had no detection earlier, I assume that it's a safe bet to decide that you're going to use DTs in the later stages of this. I guess I don't really know for sure. They could have detection everywhere else. Hard to say. Oh, where's the tank here? Oh, there it is. Go nuts, dude. Oh yeah. Thanks. I like how they're not at all interested in, yeah, they don't at all seem to be interested in building any mech units to defend themselves with anymore. I don't know why. And yeah, I do require more Vespene gas, but I think I should be able to win without expanding in this one. Again, it kind of hinges on the Dark Templar working out, and I do seem to remember a lot of pre-placed tanks and missile turrets in this map, but it's okay. We've got pylons for days, we've got all sorts of upgrades, we've got +2 Should be able to use this squad to wipe out their shit over here, because as soon as we kill the missile turrets and the comsat, they'll be that much worse for wear when it comes to fending off Dark Templar, so... Oh, okay. I was not expecting him to fucking explode. I'll be honest with you guys. That did not come across my mind. Well, we'll exhaust their stores of comsat mana now. There we go. I imagine they only have one more. Like I said, they do start out with 3 fucking bases, so... It's a similar amount of pre-placed units to the second Zerg mission, if you remember that one. They probably even have like a pre-placed barracks somewhere else as well. What? Pretty sure I... Oh, hi. I guess they decided to give up on the, Yeah, fuck getting in that bunker, dude. Alright, clearly I need to dedicate some more gas to, Dragoons. Considering they're owning me with a couple of wraiths right now. I could bring Kerrigan down and just storm them, but not necessary, I don't think. Not very consequential over here, but you know. Might as well pick off yet another production structure. One less thing to worry about. How embarrassing. Now, funnily enough, we really only need Kerrigan over here, so I've cleared away of all of the... missile turrets, pretty much, so... They really seem only interested in using infantry for defense. Considering they have one factory, doesn't seem to be a reasonable approach, to be honest. Also, really imagining the developers thinking that it was fine to give you a hero that had to survive but was completely useless in combat unless they had enough upgrades to, like, actually get some breakpoints off. Zuck. To be honest.
I'm listening.
Try again there, Kerrigan.
Crystal's here, boys. Send in a probe to gather it up, and our work here is done.
You have done well, Kerrigan. There's more to you than it seems. Perhaps I have misjudged you.
Given our history, I can't say I blame you. Let's just get the job done.
Gross. Icky. I don't talk to women. And look at that sad motherfucker in the background. You know, they gave him a fucking anime pose in the and drawing in the remastered version, man. That's real embarrassing stuff. Now, speaking of embarrassment, I do unfortunately have to do it to you guys. I do have to open up that map and give you guys an editor review. I mean, it's so trigger heavy, but you know, you can have an opening mission, hot drop or whatever, but then we have to wait for a Nexus. Again, we have to wait for a Nexus. And again, we just get random tech tree options disabled. I mean, actually, this might be the first time it happens in the campaign. I've talked about this at length in other contexts, though. Anytime you lose access to tech trees, to tech options, admittedly, we only had access to Stargates and Corsairs previously, but still, those are... I mean, we had a whole mission where the whole point of the mission was to introduce Corsairs. And then we go to the very next mission, we don't even get to build them. Pretty damning stuff. Pretty stupid slapstick stuff, where clearly the people had no interest in having a sort of flow between one map to the next, which is something that we can see evidence for in other contexts as well. Now... Okay, well... This is something else. There's 3-star locations in one base. Anyway, something else to consider here. This is once again a mission where the enemy has a million pre-placed things. Look at all the stuff they've got pre-placed. I mean, at this point, we're dealing with player 1, who has 103 supply. 5, 9... Okay, 13 supply... of their 103 supply is SCVs, which means 90 combat supply, and they don't just aim move us. Once again, patently ridiculous. They got these bunkers here that are supposed to, I guess, encourage us to go this way, but then there's a tank over here and a bunker, so why the fuck would you go that way? There's also a bunch of missile turrets. You can't even use Cloak Kerrigan to get there. Pretty boring stuff, honestly. Pretty ridiculous, TBH. And the fact that they have so many pre-placed things is just patently absurd. I don't understand why they would go this approach. It doesn't make any sense to me. They've got these ghosts that are trying to be cute by being up on the ridge, but ghosts are never really that impactful. Unless they have lockdown, and you've got a lot of them, and you're an AI. Then they're super impactful. And then they're just flat out cancerous, to be honest. But, yeah. Suffice it to say, it's a pretty unfortunate situation to be in. That being said... Again, not a whole lot to talk about. I think this mineral field might be inaccessible, but I'm not sure. Again, the fact that we have 3 enemy bases immediately, and they're all owned by the same player, and he's got 90 combat supply, which is 3 times 10 times 3. Come on, man. Come on, men. Well, you know what time it is. Time to suffer through a micro-map. The Battle of Braxis. Protoss fleet, high orbit over the planet Braxis. Well, let me tell you about high.
Executor, our sensors have just identified a large group of Terran vessels. However, their configuration profile is unlike any Terran group yet encountered. We are receiving a transmission from the fleet's command ship, identifying itself as the Alexander.
Protoss Commander, I am Admiral Alexei Stukov of the United Earth Directorate. We are here to take control of the Terran Dominion and all of its outlying colonies. You are in direct violation of Terran space and have openly attacked Terran troops. Lower your shields and power down your weapon systems. The UED will be taking custody of your ships and whatever spoils you have garnered from this planet.
United Earth Directorate. Raynar spoke of the distant Terran homeworld called Earth. These humans have come a long way to make war on us.
Have faith, Zeratul. You almost sound as if you fear these humans. What are they to such as we? Was it not we who defeated the dreaded Overmind?
Yes, Artanis, we did vanquish the Overmind, but we did so with the help of humans. Do not be so quick to underestimate them.
Of course. Executor, I shall test the mettle of these humans by scouting ahead of your ships and finding a way through this blockade. Entaro Tassadar.
Well, what can you say to that besides, holy shit, they destroyed the entire scale of their entire universe by having the UED show up from Earth. You know, kind of the whole point of the Caprulu sector existing at all was so that we can get away from Earth from a narrative boundary standpoint. There's so many constraints that happen when you're trying to still keep it within Earth that I thought it was refreshing to have a setting where you're completely, you know, removed from Earth. And it being so far away, which is really only expounded upon in the manual and not something that you can get from the campaign, but it being so distant and disconnected from the setting that we actually have here meant that it was, again, kind of guaranteed to be isolated. And then the UED just show up and it artificially shrinks the scale of their setting entirely and their entire universe, really. So that's embarrassing. Really, the UED were an unfortunate anime asshole, presumably from Sapphire, but for all I know, Metzen decided to pen that one, and I really don't understand why the guys were like that. I don't know why they decided to do this, because what should have really happened is that they finished telling the story that they started in vanilla instead of adding a whole another group to the sort of scenario. It really reads like a fan fiction or something. Obviously, Artanis saying that we were the ones who defeated the Overmind. Well, there's no inclination that he's the actual arbiter. I mean, arbiter. That he's the executor from the first game. Obviously, that was like Starcraft 2/lore, like book lore stuff. That was some other random retcon from some other piece of material. It has nothing to do with the original game. So we don't yet understand that the character that is Artanis is the executor, and I don't even really count that as official lore anyway. I discount pretty much all of StarCraft 2, but you really should discount everything besides the manual, I think, maybe. Some of the manual is also pretty shit. You gotta just rewrite it all yourself, really, if you're gonna do that, and then you might as well just make a new game. But that all being said, Artanis saying that, yeah, we were the one who destroyed the Overmind, even though he was presumably not involved at all because he wasn't even a character until Brood War. Yeah, it's something to say, but I guess the entire excuse for that exchange was so that Zeratul could mention that you should not underestimate humans. I guess. Again, what is the purpose? Like, going back to something that I ranted about probably in like very, very early on in this production, a lot of content, including the official content for StarCraft, does not justify its analysis. Like, the analysis that I'm giving it is too high level, really, because they didn't bother trying to ask these challenging questions of their own content to critically analyze their dialogue lines, their AI scripts, their missions, their art, their gameplay rules, their balancing. They didn't analyze really much of it at all. I'm imagining it was very much a Wild West sort of environment, just slapping shit against the wall, seeing what stuck. Unfortunately, it was mostly Metzen's shit. And the purpose here, like I said, I'm assuming it was just to mention that, but to mention that you shouldn't underestimate humans, that is. But Zeratul doesn't ever sound like he's afraid of anything. He doesn't sound like he has any fucking emotion, because you way overdid the lack of emotion thing. So certainly can't have a main character be that way. Like, that can be an interesting character trope or cliche, or we'll just say character trait of a side character that is somewhat mysterious and interesting in their own way. Zeratul is not a side character. They are a main character, unfortunately. So you can't have them just be talking deadpan the whole time. Destroy all power generators to pierce the UED blockade. My brain must survive.
Yes, Executor. Yes, Executor.
Tor.
Direct my wrath.
Well, get ready for your introduction to the UED. Bunch of unupgraded clown emojis. You gotta upgrade your clown emojis, guys. I'm amazed it's not just 3 power generators, but it is 5, and 5 is like a cousin to 3.
Executor, with the power generator destroyed, the missile turrets on this platform are no longer operational. However, we will need reinforcements to finish the job.
Reinforcements are en route now, young Templar.
State your will.
What's up, bitch?
I am ready. Direct my wrath.
I think there's oh, there's just bunkers over there. Stop zucking. No zucking allowed. Sup, bitch? Yeah, no comm stats. They don't need those. I'm wondering where their science vessels are, though. They definitely ought to have those. Give your heroes an air unit, or sorry, give your players an air hero, and then nothing. Because there's a million missile turrets. Talk about pre-placed shit. This could have been interesting based on the idea that the AI is actually trying to, you know, do something. Maybe set up some of these missile turrets.
I am ready.
Stop this spinning immediately. This is the intended gameplay loop, by the way. That is to say, there is no intended gameplay loop. Spinning Ahmed.
Reinforcements are en route now, young Templar.
State your will. For Aiur. Your warriors have engaged the Executor. Consider it done. I concur. I am ready. Consider it done.
Got him! I don't remember if this is even important. I think it actually is.
I am ready.
Oh wait, I think, if I'm not mistaken, stop that.
I am ready. Consider it done. Consider it done. State your will. Consider it done.
Clearly we have an overabundance of units. Unfortunately, with no way to really know for sure if we have sufficient units. But what do you expect in a micro mission? Even if we knew we had insufficient units, it wouldn't really matter. Precisely because we can't replace them.
Reinforcements are en route now, young Templar.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need observers for this. Oh, hello.
Consider it done.
Oops. Forgot about that one.
I am ready.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
I am ready. I concur.
Is that Goliath still running after my something? I don't even know what it's after.
I concur. Indeed. State your will. I am ready.
A very epic unit. Pretty sure you can just outrange these guys with Dragoons, though, no? Orphaned shuttle. Orphaned father. Hi. But yeah, if I can just do this, it'll be much easier than having to sit here and slowly, very fucking slowly, chip away at all this stuff. This is a shortcut. So one of the reasons why I keep alluding to this mission's existence at all, considering it's quite an unremarkable piece of shit, is there's a very old video of mine where I praise this mission for being well designed, because so I don't even remember what the context was behind it, but it's not well designed is the bottom line. It's a fucking micro map. In case that needed to be clarified. I don't even really remember what my original commentary was on the subject. It should have been something that I took a look at, I think, but I find that generally speaking, people have a tendency to apologize for micro missions based on the fact that they are changes of pace, or that they allow you to tutorialize certain mechanics or something. Alright, let's see if there's any legions of men that decide to come down to say hi to me. You'll notice you can't actually do anything to these guys besides storm them. Storming them is actually something that you could do if you wanted to. Well, I guess you could mind drag them. That's something we could do. Would you stop? Stop. Stop. Everybody stop. Here we go. Okay. We found our secret strat, I think. Though in all seriousness, it doesn't much matter. So yeah, you can storm them. That won't trigger the AI spellcasting logic for lockdown. AI spellcasting logic for siege mode, as you just saw there for a split second, is also quite abusable. as long as you attack, specifically a missile turret seems to be the easiest way to trigger this. But I think any building that's within a certain radius will cause the siege tanks to unsiege. Destroyed, to be honest. Take a few hits here and there. It's fine. I'm gonna slowly flank our way around here. Oh, there's a tank over there. Color me surprised. Not sure if I have the range to... Okay. Not sure if I have the range to aggro this while out of range of the tank. Doesn't look like it. So we're gonna try to opt for one up here. All we really want to do at this point... I mean, I guess we could just literally fly over here with the fucking scouts, now that I think about it.
Consider it done. Direct my wrath. I am ready. Direct my wrath. Consider it done. I concur.
Destroyed, to be honest. Just look at them spin! They will never cease their spinning.
Consider it done. Indeed.
Rude.
State your will for hire.
Oh, that guy's dead.
Yes, Executor. Indeed. For hire. Consider it done.
Very goofy. Shit campaign would help here because this is another empty map, you know?
Yes, Executor. I concur. For hire. State your will.
Alright, we'll just slowly chip away at this.
I am ready. Yes, Executor.
Gotta love them picking the further away target, of course. It's just my fault for not being slightly more reasonable. Oh, nice. Supposed to get vision of those, but it takes a while to update, so I got destroyed by it. Just suicide them all, to be honest. I don't think High Templar hover. I'm pretty sure mines can destroy them. Anyway, we pretty much just flat out get given a bunch of free units, so...
I be of service?
At this point, we can pretty much just recall all of our units rather than having to worry about directly transporting them. Did the Corsairs not get bunched up? Yeah, I guess not.
Yes, Executor. State your will. I concur. Consider it done. I concur.
I was kind of hoping that that would one-shot it, but I guess I was mistaken there. That was one off. Maybe one of them didn't fire. Maybe I'm just bad.
Direct my wrath. Ready for battle. Join us. State your will.
May I be of service?
Join us. Yes, Executor. Consider it done.
It's more like stainless steel, am I right, Aldaris? I mean, Artanis? Fuck, idiot.
May I be of service?
My brain has already begun losing itself.
Excellent. State your will. For Aiur. I concur. Yes, Executor. Let us attack. Yes, Executor.
Oh wait, what am I doing? I don't even need to be down here.
I concur. Let us attack. Direct my wrath. For Aiur. Consider it done. Let us attack. I am ready. For Aiur.
That barely does it, but it does it.
I am ready.
Shakuras warriors have engaged the enemy.
See you, nerd.
Consider it done. For combat.
Fuck that guy! I'm glad they're spinning. Classic move, to be honest. No, Aldaris. Oh, whoever you are. The toddless dad. I don't know how to tell my scarabs to go up ramps. Oh. Okay, we did it. And just like that, we lost another few IQ points. Cronus wing, by the way. Can you believe that was a map in a real game, in a released product that we paid money for? I can't. Well, what has this campaign so far told us? It told us that they doubled down on gimmicks and decided to actually double down on pre-placed junk. There's way more pre-placed stuff in these early missions than there were in some of the early missions elsewhere. Like, I guess there were some pre-placed, like just general pre-placed shit in a lot of the early missions as well of vanilla. But this is like way more. It's like right out the gate, you know things are not going to get better. And there's that micro mission was literally me slogging through a million pre-placed things. And that's to say nothing of all the pre-placed shit in the second, third, and fourth maps. Which, of course, were the only actual maps that we played, if you can even call them actual maps, because we actually have already suffered through 2 micro missions in this one campaign. I think there's only 1 micro mission in the other campaigns. Oh no, I guess technically if you count the bonus map, the Dark EA Origin or whatever the fuck it's called, that map is a micro mission for the Zerg campaign, but it's a little bit different, as you'll see when we get to it. I'm trying to think if there was a second one for the Terrans. I guess there were. Yeah, there's 2 micro missions in each campaign in this fucking Todd-forsaken project. Unfortunate. Well, when we come back, we'll be dealing with the last 3 missions in the Protoss campaign and hopefully ending our misery with Protoss forever. But I have a funny feeling I'll be playing through that Dark EA Origin map anyway, so not quite forever, but for a long time. I guess I'll see you then.